All right, let's bring in Dr. Cohen. Dr. Cohen, what did you make of the arguments you've heard so far today?
Well, I agree with what was just said. I think that the prosecution put together a pretty strong case based on the evidence that they had in the confession. The notable weakness in their case, of course, that the body was never found. And the defense, did not call witnesses, and they're really just trying to play up the possibility of some reasonable doubt. That having been said, we had devastating testimony from the older brother, from Alex. It's true that he has changed his story, but children are prone to do that, and I think adults in an adult jury, of course, is going to probably have some experience with children and understand that he expressed feeling terrified of his father and felt that he needed to protect him in the original interview. So I think that we have a lot of evidence and a lot of circumstantial evidence here, and there's no clear other suspect. So I think that the case the prosecution put together is quite strong, and certainly to clinch it by playing on emotion and keeping the focus on the victim is an effective strategy.
Let's bring it back to pretty much the heart of what is going on here, that confession. And some folks just don't understand how false confessions could be. If you didn't do the crime, why would you admit it? So what are your thoughts on the confession itself?
Yeah, I mean, I evaluate a lot of criminal defendants, and often, confessions are at play. I think that, people will confess to crimes rarely that they didn't commit. In general, when people make a confession, the presumption of the law is that the person who confessed is competent. Individuals don't have to go through a psychiatric examination to prove that they're competent before they can confess, and that can be introduced in the court of law. And sometimes individuals retract the confession, but I think that the retraction has to be looked at in light of the totality of the evidence. I think the one argument that the defense was making was that this is an individual with mental illness, and that he might be more prone to give in to police and to try to please them and just confess to something he didn't do because he wanted the interview to end. And I think that that's really what the court had to hear about was, how much coercion, if any, was present, and how much psychological pressure was placed on the defendant. But again, I did not hear anything that was overwhelming of that nature that would really lead me to feel that this was a coerced confession.
All right, thanks so much, Dr. Cohen and Julie Rendelman. We are going to take a quick, short break, but we will be right back. I have so many more questions to ask them as well, so stay with us.